Well, I know some of y'all are waiting on this video. Let's get right down to business. Thanks for being here. Hit the like button. If you're a Sixers fan and only a couple of months into Paul George's tenure, you would love to see him be traded, hit the like button. Let's talk about it. There is a rumor that the Golden State Warriors inquired with the Philadelphia 76ers about a trade for Paul George. And it comes from the one and only Shams Charania. Now, listen, I'm going to say this right off the rip. I'm not going to talk about any mock trades or what we could possibly get back for Paul George. I consider the Paul George contract at 34 years old for a guy who's averaging 15 points per game and has been injured 5 times in 40 games and has now been out for 2 weeks with a pinky injury. I consider that contract impossible to trade. So I don't care what the Warriors are offering. If they want Paul George, they get Paul George for anything. I'll trade Paul George to the Warriors for Pochemski and an E40 vinyl box set. The kids won't know what that means. I should have said YG or something. Bay Area rapper. Anyway, yeah. Please take Paul George. Are you kidding me right now? Please. I will throw a parade if Daryl Morey gets off of this contract. That's how bad this Paul George situation has been so far. And thinking about 4 entire years of this, please free us from this disaster. Let's listen to what Shams said. And it was on the Pat McAfee show. And I kind of want to give my opinion on whether or not I feel like Shams was saying an actual report or just rambling, which is kind of annoying with this guy because the fact that it is Shams, always makes it like everything he says is a report. You know what I mean? Because it's Shams said it. But there's times where he's not like releasing an actual report. He's just talking to somebody. And here's what he said.
The Warriors are legitimately calling about every all-star player. You just name the all-star player. The Warriors have probably called him. Paul George, they have called him. They made. They probably called. They have.
Here's what he said.
The Warriors have probably called him. Paul George, they have called him.
Paul George, they probably called about, and then he corrects himself and says they have called about him. So he was just rambling, and then he kind of realized, no, I've heard that they actually have specifically called about Paul George. Please, if anybody on the planet wants this contract, you have to trade him. Straight up.
They made calls on every star, and that, of course, includes players like LeBron, players like Kevin Durant, players like Jimmy Butler. They are making calls.
And when you think about it, from the Golden State Warriors perspective, like when you look at the rest of the NBA with the Paul George situation, same thing with the Joel Embiid situation, when you say, these contracts are impossible to move, who's going to want them? It's hard to imagine a team wanting to pay a 34-year-old injury-prone player $50 million a year. But then you think about the Golden State Warriors specifically, and the fact that Steph Curry is 37 or is turning 37, and you think about their window of being relevant and being a championship contender is closing fast. We're talking the next 2-3 years. I don't know if I see Steph Curry playing at 40. I think he very well could. Steph Curry has been relatively healthy his whole career, stays in great shape. Cough, cough, Luka Doncic. And could play well into his 40s, I think, if he wants to. But the Golden State Warriors specifically are one team that is trying to maximize a closing window as much as they can in the next couple of years. So that is a team that would be willing to pay a player like Paul George that money, because if you get a player who can take the pressure off of Steph Curry, who can be a threat to score himself at an elite level if he stays healthy. If you get Paul George for 2 years in Golden State, and then the last 2 years of that contract, they try to move him as an expiring or whatever it is, I could see the Golden State Warriors being interested in trading for Paul George. And again, if they want him, you have to trade him. Now, here's the thing. Daryl Morey, or at least there's been a rumor that Sixers management is not interested in trading Paul George, or they specifically told Paul George that they won't trade him in the first year of this contract. Paul George was informed by Sixers management that he won't be traded during year one of his 4-year contract, as the team quietly could be a suitor for Jimmy Butler. This was the Vince Goodwill thing. I don't know if that's even true. It was just another guy saying things on a podcast, and I didn't even hear him say that the Sixers management said this to Paul George. It's not even really in quotes. So what really did that? Where did this come from? Paul George was informed from Sixers management that he won't be traded during year one of his 4-year contract. It's not in quotes, so Vince Goodwill didn't say it. So Philly, Sixers, Galaxy said it. I'm not sure. But even so, if Paul George was informed that he won't be traded the first year of his contract, why do we care? Since when does Daryl Morey give a damn about what he told a player? Let me remind you.
And I will never be a part of an organization that is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of. Let me say that again. Daryl Morey is a liar, and I will never be a part of an organization that he's a part of.
Daryl Morey promised James Harden a max contract. James Harden took less money to help the Sixers build a contender that year, and then was not awarded his max contract by Daryl Morey, and was on a public stage in China, called Daryl Morey a liar flat out. Don't forget, Chris Paul was lied to by Daryl Morey before the OKC Thunder trade in the summer of 2019. And our boy Pat Beverly.
So we playing in Denver, and I hit Daryl Morey with the, hey, I'm getting traded. You know. No, not you. No, of course not.
So he's a liar.
Who cares what Daryl Morey told somebody, bro? He's known as a liar. Yes, trade Paul George for whatever the Warriors are offering. Seriously. For the love of God, get him out of here. And by the way, Paul George just uploaded a podcast episode about Tyrese Maxey's ascendance this year, or Tyrese Maxey's leadership this year, and how he's leading the team and he deserved to be an all-star. And there was a quote in there that said, Paul George is enjoying watching Tyrese Maxey's rise. In other words, Paul George is enjoying being paid $50 million to sit and watch other players play basketball. Get him out of here, bro. Just the most loser energy I've ever seen. He's been out a month with a pinky injury. Get him out of here. Just a couple more things before I get out of here. I swear to God, I'll throw a parade if the Sixers trade Paul George somehow, some way. And find a way to trade Embiid too, man. Let's go, bro. Let's move, man. We're tired of seeing the same thing over and over. Or not seeing the same thing over and over. Gershon Yabusele has been described as a player the Sixers are looking to keep long-term. A source close to the situation said, I'm told it would take an irresistible offer for the team to consider trading the 29-year-old, as they've been determined not to so far. I like hearing that. Absolutely love Gershon Yabusele. Love his skill set. Love his passion. Love his energy. Love the way he plays with a chip on his shoulder. The fire that he plays with. Just a straight dog on the court. I mean, he's out here poster dunking over Derek White and beating his chest and screaming at the crowd. And I mean, just a guy's going to give 1,000% every single play. Incredibly valuable. The box score won't even tell how valuable he is. So it makes me happy that the Sixers are at least out there saying, hey, we don't want to trade Gershon Yabusele, and we want to keep him long-term. Now, to keep him long-term, you need money. How are you going to get that money if you don't get off of that Paul George contract? So there's that. A source said the Lakers and Kings are conducting due diligence on a potential trade for Caleb Martin. The source said the Miami Heat also contemplated reacquiring their former key role player who's making $8.5 million this season. So Caleb Martin isn't officially on the trade block by the Sixers, but he's being held out with a mysterious hip injury now for a couple of weeks. I think they've been facilitating Caleb Martin trades for a while. I think they've been facilitating KJ Martin trades for a while. KJ Martin and Gershon Yabusele's trade markets have been heating up as the February 6th trade deadline approaches. A source of the knowledge and the team's thinking said, I'm told Yabusele, who signed of it, yeah, they want to keep Yabusele. I think the KJ Martin trade value is out there. I think Caleb Martin is out there as a trade piece. I think Andre Drummond has been out for weeks with a mysterious toe injury, is a trade piece. I think Eric Gordon is a trade piece. Kyle Lowry, Reggie Jackson don't have any trade values, so who cares about them? But I think the Sixers are going to do something at the trade deadline, man. I really do think they're going to do something at the trade deadline. Here's a poll by Sixer Galaxy. Would you trade Gershon if the incoming package included a first-round pick? And 54% said yes. Frauds. Can't be Sixers fans saying that. I don't care about a first-round pick, although Daryl Morey's been good at drafting. So, yeah, they're going to do something at the trade deadline, man. I really think so. And the way that the team has been playing the past couple of games with these young guys, it should, motivate the team to start to move forward and get rid of some of these old dudes and try your best to get rid of some of these bad contracts. That's all I got, man. Y'all give me your thoughts on it. I'll talk to you soon. Peace.